From the moment the sun slipped behind the old oak trees, a strange quietness fell over the valley, one so heavy that even the wind seemed afraid to breathe. And that was when Peter Rabbit realized something was terribly wrong. He didn't know it then, but the choices he made in the next hours would lead him into the most daring escape of his life, one that would test his courage, his loyalty, and the strength of every bond he had ever cherished. If only he had known how deeply the night would change him, he might have turned back. But Peter Rabbit never turned back. Peter had always been quick, quick to smile, quick to laugh, quick to leap into trouble before looking where he might land. Tonight, though, he moved carefully, ears perked, whiskers trembling. His younger cousins Daisy and Pip hadn't returned home after foraging near the human village. Their mother was pacing outside the burrow, her voice trembling as she kept repeating, "They always come back before dusk. Always." The fear in her eyes struck Peter harder than any danger ever had. He promised her he would find the little ones no matter what it took. The trail of tiny paw prints led toward a place every rabbit avoided if they could. Farmer Grubber's barn. Grubber's barn. It wasn't the farmer they feared. Old Grubber was grumpy but slow. It was his new traps, strange metal cages that snapped shut like jaws. Peter's heart clenched. He sniffed the air, catching Daisy's scent, faint but unmistakable. He crept along the barn wall, careful not to disturb the hay scattered about. Then he froze. Inside the barn, illuminated by the pale moonlight slipping through the cracks, were rows of metal cages, and in one of them, huddled together, Daisy and Pip. Tiny paws pressed against the bars. They weren't hurt, but their eyes glimmered with fear. "Peter," Pip whispered when he saw him. "Please get us out." Peter hopped closer but stopped when the wood groaned under his feet. The farmer was still inside, asleep in his rocking chair, rifle beside him. One loud noise and all would be lost. Peter's mind raced. He needed help. Quiet help. Clever help. Jemima Puddle Duck was the first to answer his call. She flapped nervously when Peter explained the situation but nodded determinedly. "I'll distract him," she whispered. "You free the little ones." Next came Benjamin Bunny, whose calm confidence steadied everyone. He studied the cages and murmured, "We'll need leverage for the latches. And speed." Together they formed a plan, dangerous, delicate, and nearly impossible. But family was family, and that meant doing the impossible when someone needed you. Jemima waddled to the far corner of the barn where the farmer kept his feed buckets. With a swift motion, far braver than anyone expected, she knocked the largest bucket to the ground. It clattered loudly. Wait. The noise jolted Farmer Grubber awake. "A blasted ducks!" he shouted as he stomped toward the commotion. The moment he turned his back, Peter raced to the cages. Benjamin slid a wooden rod through the latch mechanism and pushed with all his strength. The metal groaned but didn't budge. Peter clenched his teeth, grabbed the rod too, and together they pushed. With a sudden snap, the latch popped open. Daisy and Pip scrambled out and threw their little paws around Peter in relief. But before they could escape, Farmer Grubber turned around. "Blood and thunder, rrr," he yelled, spotting the rabbits. Peter's heart pounded. The farmer lunged for them, but the 5 small animals surged toward the open door. Peter heard the clatter of boots behind them. He didn't dare look back. He shouted, "Run! Don't stop!" Just as the farmer reached out to grab them, the barn door slammed shut, not because of the wind, but because of Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, who wedged her prickly back against the door, forcing it closed from the outside. "Go, children!" she cried, and they did. They sprinted through the field until the barn disappeared behind them, until the only sound left was their own gasps, and until the first orange glow of dawn softened the night's terror. Only then did they stop, trembling with a mix of exhaustion and relief. The little ones were safe. They were home. Peter thought the ordeal was over, but the great breakout had only begun. The next day, word spread through the entire valley. Farmer Grubber was furious. He was setting new traps in the fields, even larger ones that could catch not just a stray rabbit, but whole families. Panic rippled through the burrows. Mothers kept their children inside. Foraging parties were canceled. The valley's food supply dwindled quickly. The rabbits couldn't survive like this. Peter stood before the frightened crowd, heart pounding. He didn't want to be the leader. He didn't want to put anyone at risk. But he couldn't ignore the truth. This had all started because he saved Daisy and Pip, and now every creature was paying the price. "This is my fault," he said quietly. "Let's all fix it. I'll go back. I'll destroy the traps." Gasps echoed through the burrow. "You can't," Daisy's mother cried. "He'll catch you." But Benjamin stepped forward. "He won't be alone." One by one, the valley animals emerged. Jemima, Mrs. Tiggywinkle, Squirrel Nutkin, even the timid field mice. They all stood together, united by a bond stronger than fear. Peter felt a warmth rise in his chest, a strength he had never known before. He nodded. "Then we do this together." The mission began under the cover of fog. They moved silently through the farmer's fields, each animal taking a role. The mice chewed through rope mechanisms. The ducks used their wings to knock over stacked traps. Nutkin leaped joyfully from post to post, loosening every knot he could find. Peter and Benjamin targeted the largest contraptions, the ones with thick iron bars and weighted springs. For a moment, everything went smoothly. Too smoothly. Then Peter heard the click. A hidden trap snapped shut around his hind leg. Pain shot up his side. He fell to the ground, teeth clenched against a cry. Benjamin darted to him. "Ah, hold on." But Farmer Grubber had seen them. He charged through the fog, shouting and waving his arms. The animals scattered. Benjamin tugged with all his strength, but the trap wouldn't budge. Peter pushed him away. "Go, get the others out." No," Benjamin protested. "I won't leave you." "You have to," Peter whispered, eyes full of pain but voice steady. "If this is where it ends for me, that's all right. Just keep the valley safe, please." Benjamin's eyes glistened. Then unexpectedly another voice spoke. That's enough." Farmer Grubber stopped. Mrs. Tiggywinkle stood right in front of him, tiny but immovable. "Ah." Behind her stood dozens of animals, lining up, refusing to run. Benjamin stepped forward too, planting himself between the farmer and Peter. One rabbit was easy to catch. A whole valley standing together was something else entirely. Farmer Grubber stared at them, not with anger, but with confusion. And then something shifted. He saw their trembling bodies, their eyes full of fear, but also fierce loyalty. He looked at Peter stuck in the trap, clearly hurt. A long silence followed. The old farmer sighed. "I only wanted rabbits out of my vegetables," he muttered. "Not this. Ahoy. Well, not this." Slowly, very slowly, he knelt beside Peter and pressed the release mechanism. The trap opened. Peter scrambled free, wincing but alive. The farmer stood and waved his arm. "Off you go now. And stay away from my prize cabbages, will you?" The animals hesitated. Peter, breathing hard, nodded. "We will." The farmer walked away, leaving the traps disabled on the ground. The valley returned to normal in the days that followed. The fear faded, replaced by a quiet understanding between humans and animals. Peter limped for a while, but healed fast. Daisy and Pip visited him daily, insisting on bringing him clover until he was strong again. But the real change wasn't outside. It was in Peter. He had always been quick to leap into adventure. But now he understood something far greater, that no matter how brave he thought he was, real courage wasn't about facing danger first. It was about standing together, refusing to let fear decide the fate of those you love. And if anyone asked why the Great Breakout had become the most famous tale in the valley, they would hear the same answer. Because that was the day every animal learned they were strongest not when they ran, but when they stood as one.